Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. Jaden, this is my date. I'm heartbroken that it resembles my affection for my life that a 16-year-old shares with you as a commendation. It's extraordinary. I love him. Famous people are learning the most difficult way possible to continuously mind their business when they can, in light of the fact that the web always remembers, and we would give anything not to be Zoe Kravitz on the grounds that after she responded to Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars, the web decimated her for her dim past. However, what precisely did Zoe do in the past? A darling, in a real sense, went from the hottest lady to generally hauling in under 24 hours. Okay. Following Will's response to Chris Rock's joke about Jada being uncovered, VIPs took to virtual entertainment to offer their feedback, and a few really censured Will's activities. For example, in a no-erased tweet, Judge Adamo condemned Will's conduct, stating that Will might have killed Chris and considered his way of behaving an unadulterated crazy fury that played into a few terrible and long-existent generalizations about people of color. Wanda Sykes told Ellen on her show, "And I only felt so dreadful for my companion. And it was nauseating, and for them to allow him to remain in that room. I resembled how gross this James Corden likewise said on his syndicated program. Truly, however, I commend Chris Rock for recuperating and keeping the show moving. I'll say this, Will Smith can't take a joke. Chris Rock can take a punch." Whoopi, who was likewise an individual from the Institute, said that Smith would keep his Oscar following the contention. However, he would in any case deal with a few types of repercussions for the dramatic occurrence, and yes, Will has been confronting outcomes, and not simply from the Foundation. Netflix supposedly stopped the creation of his film Reckless, which is a film in light of his kingpin memory after an assault and pieces hints together to understand he's been carrying on with a twofold existence clearly radiant, likewise put a hang on terrible young men. And, as per different sources, a greater amount of his films will be required to be postponed following the quarrel. So another person who responded to the slap that was heard all over the planet was Zoe Kravitz, yet the reaction she got from fans was most certainly not something she expected. Zoe inscribed a photograph of herself at the honors. "Here's an image of my dress at the honor show where we are evidently attacking individuals in front of an audience now." Then she subtitled a subsequent picture. "And here's an image of my dress at the party after the honor show where we are obviously shouting obscenities and attacking individuals in front of an audience now, and that wasn't all that Zoe did." She likewise answered an analyst who asked you, "Don't uphold him safeguarding his spouse?" To which Zoe answered no. Except that after Zoe's remarks, it didn't actually take Twitterverse 24 hours to dive into Zoe's wardrobe of skeletons. And we generally say that when fans get digging, they generally find something frightful. Fans brought that up for somebody who recently said that Will Smith was, most importantly, a great individual. Her flip was simply stunning. Zoe had told Ellie in 2013 about Will Smith. "He's quite possibly the most considerate individual I've at any point met. Watching him and Jaden together, it was cool to see such a lot of affection in their dad-child dynamic. He's a whiz. However, he's the most generally sensible individual ever." The Smiths likewise seem to have remained nearby to Zoe, as Will likewise shared a photograph of his little girl Willow plaiting Zoe's hair and wrote in the subtitle that something about this pic gets me each time Willow Smith twists Zoo's hair. Lenny Kravitz made this effort in Paris. "The careful love is on." Then fans moved to the thing Zoe said about Jaden and restored an old meeting where Zoe offered unseemly remarks about Will's child Jaden, who was 14 at the time she told V Magazine back in 2013. "There were minutes that I was spending time with Jaden and figuring I couldn't accept that you're 14. I need to actually look at myself like what I share with you. He has such a lot of character, so much so that he is a great deal cooler than I am, and he's so attractive. I was consistently similar to when you're more seasoned and you realize we'll hang out. No, that is unseemly. You're 14. So when the remarks re-emerged via virtual entertainment, Zoe was marked as a scoundrel for attempting to censure Will for his Oscar conduct. One fan got out, and whatever Zoe said around a 14-year-old kid was unpardonable, regardless of whether it was a joke, considering kids physically ought not be messed with. I super disdain this example of someone preferring somebody over unexpectedly figuring out they're peculiar, and someone else added that you told me. Zoe Kravitz was attempting to play with a 14-year-old Jaden Smith, yet she attempted to diss Will Smith on Instagram. Another person additionally composed Zoe is getting her lashings, and that is perfect and everything except for what reason were you all sitting on this awful data about this woman? For what reason am I seconds ago figuring out that this developed woman was spouting north of 14-year-old Jaden Smith? Not long after, one more re-emerged interview from 2 years after the fact started coursing on Twitter, during which Zoe called Jaden her date and her first love in the video. Zoe spotted Jaden and yelled his name in the meeting, saying, "Jaden, I hauled him out this evening, gracious my golly my date. Goodness my golly, I've been searching for you in the end." Jaden left the meeting, thus he was sorry for the interference, adding, "Sorry, that resembles my adoration for my life. Yes, I hauled him out," I messaged. Him and I said you need to come, so he did. I love him." One devotee who could hardly imagine how the video even existed composed via virtual entertainment, "How did no one flutter an eyelash when Zoe Kravitz, 26, called Jaden Smith, 16, the affection for her life? Her date?" No one commented further on it. The journalist laughed at the standardization of savage conduct in Hollywood, like nobody felt that was peculiar. Alright, with regards to Zoe, fans didn't simply discuss how she spouted over Jaden when he was 14 and 16. A lot of other stuff likewise came up on the web, like her dear kinship with creator Alexander Wang, who has been blamed for basic badgering by different individuals. Alexandra at first denied the charges in an explanation, calling them bogus and manufactured. Yet he proceeded to communicate a lament for his past conduct in one more message given months after the fact that someone else raised the way that she declined to work for Embodiment, which has a dark readership since it wasn't her crowd gracious. And there's likewise the way that she dated Ezra Mill operator when they were 17 and she was more than 20. So on Twitter, fans truly found it ludicrous that Zoe slammed Will, and one client composed of Zoe Kravitz upholds known victimizer Alexander Wang, who offered ruthless remarks about 14-year-old Jaden Ian dating Ezra Mill operator when they were 17-18 and she was 20 or more. Yet needs to talk about Will and define the boundary at a slap. Plainly, Zoe was not having a decent day on the web, considering she's been a fan #1 across the web for quite a long time right now, frequently moving in a positive light. Well, with this as a top priority, some Twitter clients likewise expressed their uneasiness at individuals apparently realizing about her past yet deciding not to share the data, while she was well known, as one individual noted, making an effort not to guard her at all. "I truly couldn't care less about her yet. It's so fraudulent." The way in which individuals were in a real sense sitting on terrible kid snippets of data on Zoe Kravitz. This time, however, just decided to uncover reality currently. It's really silly, while Zoe wasn't the only one being slammed for her remarks, since fans in a real sense made a rundown of superstars who should not be pummeling Will Smith, since they have done and expressed more regrettable things in the past, under the post who's keeping up with the running rundown of superstars that are humiliating themselves over a slap we ought to have had the option to continue on from. At this point, there were north of 700 remarks, with a portion of the remarks being arrangements of vapes, who remarked on Will's occurrence yet had done additional humiliating things, so perhaps it would have been really smart for Zoe just to stay out of other people's affairs. Yet does that mean superstars ought to never get down on individuals? Subscribe Apple World for more videos.